Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're running a business, any kind of business, you are dealing with agreements all the time. But here's the real question. Are those agreements truly protecting you? Today, we're going to break down the absolute essentials of general contracts, the bedrock of pretty much every business relationship you'll ever have. Let's dive in. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. A contract isn't just some legal document, some hoop you have to jump through. It's the blueprint. It's the foundation for how you work with clients, with suppliers, with partners, everyone. It's what turns a casual conversation into a rock-solid commitment. So, to really get a handle on this, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why a contract is your best roadmap. Then, we'll dissect a contract to see what makes it tick. We'll clear up some super common confusion, see where these things pop up in the real world, and then wrap up with some crucial do's and don'ts for drafting them. I love this analogy. Think of a contract as a roadmap for your project or your partnership. It's not there to be difficult or to create red tape. It's there to do the exact opposite, to prevent problems by making sure everybody is on the same page, looking at the same map, and heading in the same direction right from the get-go.
A really solid contract does 4 absolutely critical things for you. 1, it sets crystal clear expectations. Who's doing what, by when. 2, it gives you legal muscle, something to stand on if things go south. 3, it acts like a shield, protecting you and your business from unnecessary risk. And maybe most importantly, it makes sure you get paid, and paid on time.
So, what actually turns a simple agreement into a legally enforceable contract? Something that will actually hold up in court? It's not just a handshake and it's not just a verbal promise. It all comes down to 6 essential ingredients. Let's break them down. Here they are: offer, acceptance, awareness, sometimes called a meeting of the minds, consideration, capacity, and legality. You should seriously think of this as a checklist. For any agreement to be truly binding, it needs all 6, and I mean all 6. If you're missing even one of these, the whole thing could be worthless. Okay, let's zoom in on consideration for a second, because this one trips a lot of people up. All it means is that a contract has to be a two-way street. Both sides have to give something of value and get something of value. And that value isn't always money. It could be a service, a product, or even a promise not to do something. This is probably the easiest way to remember it. Consideration is the answer to the question, what's in it for me? And that question has to be answered for everyone signing. If only one person is getting something out of it, well, that's not a contract, that's a gift. And the last 2 elements are pretty straightforward, but they are absolutely non-negotiable. Capacity just means everyone signing is of legal age and sound mind. They get what they're signing. And legality means, well, the contract has to be for something legal. You can't have a legally binding contract to rob a bank, right? Now, let's tackle something that trips people up all the time. You hear the phrases general contract and general contractor contract, and they sound almost exactly the same. But in the world of business and law, believe me, they are 2 very, very different things. So let me just ask it directly. Are they the same thing? The short answer is a big, fat no. Not at all. One is a massive, broad category, and the other is for a super specific industry. And this table just makes it crystal clear. A general contract is like your business Swiss Army knife. It's versatile. You can use it for sales, services, leases, you name it, in any industry. A general contractor contract, on the other hand, is a specialized tool, like a scalpel. It's used almost exclusively in construction and is packed with details about project scope, timelines, materials, the whole shebang. All right, enough with the theory. Where are you actually going to see these general contracts out in the wild, in your day-to-day business life? The truth is, they're absolutely everywhere, often in documents you use constantly. Just think about it for a second. That agreement you have with your marketing consultant, that's a service agreement. The purchase order you just sent to a supplier, yep, once they accept it, that's a contract. Your employment offers, your office lease, all of these are types of general contracts that literally build the operational backbone of your business. Okay, this brings us to what might be the most practical and most important part of our chat today. Knowing what goes into a contract is one thing. Actually drafting one that protects you is a whole other ballgame. And this is where the devil is truly in the details. And I'm not being dramatic here. The stakes are incredibly high. One piece of vague wording, one forgotten clause, one verbal promise that never made it onto the page, Any one of these seemingly small errors can lead to a massive dispute, or worse, make the whole contract totally unenforceable. So, how do you avoid these landmines? You have to be on the lookout for these common traps. Using fuzzy language is just asking for a fight later on. Forgetting to spell out what happens in a worst case scenario leaves you completely exposed. And relying on a he said, she said promise, that's a huge risk. If it's not in writing, it basically didn't happen in the eyes of the law. And always make sure you know how you can get out of the deal. So, what's the solution? How do you defend your business against these potential problems? Well, the answer is to play offense. It's about being proactive and making sure you include several essential clauses that act as a safety net for your business. Think of these as your non negotiables. A confidentiality clause keeps your trade secrets safe. A termination clause gives you a clear exit strategy. A dispute resolution clause, this one's huge, can save you a fortune by forcing mediation before a costly court battle. And limitation of liability and governing law clauses, they provide absolutely critical legal clarity and protection right when you need it most. And all of this really brings us to our final thought for the day. As you go back to running your business, just ask yourself this one simple question. Are your business relationships built on hopeful, handshake promises, or are they secured on clear, solid, enforceable paper? The future strength and safety of your business could really depend on that answer. Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.